Hey everyone, Joe Bradley here in Houston, Texas, and I just want to thank you for stopping by and reading this blog and watching this video once again. And I just appreciate every one of you so much for the continued encouragement and all the words of affirmation you continually send my way. I do know that if it were not for all of the continuous all the continued compliments and the words of encouragement, then I would not be able to be doing what I'm doing. And so I just thank you so much for that. I thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing the information. And as usual, if what you hear today it helps you out in any kind of way, if it gets you out of a funk, if it lifts you up, then please leave a comment below and let me know exactly how it helped. And also, if you think someone else can benefit from this information, then please share that as well with any of the social media buttons that you see along side. Today, I kind of want to tell a story. And the last time we were together, we talked about going from ordinary to extraordinary and how that isn't a very difficult. Um, it's not that difficult of a process, but it all begins in the mind. If you didn't get a chance to read that blog, if you didn't get a chance to watch the video, then please, there is a link within this somewhere, whether it's above or below, you'll be able to see. Um, Click on that and go watch that because it will it will change your mind. I believe you'll be forever blessed if you do go and read that blog and watch that video. um, but today I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story. I remember I was flying to Chicago, not Chicago, but I'm thinking about going to Chicago because we're going to Chicago next month. But I was flying to Ohio a few years ago, and I was going down to speak at a conference, and it was a youth conference. So we were going there, and on the way there, uh, when maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours into the flight, it was uh, a noticeable movements in the airplane, noticeable movements in the flight, and the we started shaking a bit and just kind of bouncing up and down. And now I've flown so many times before, and I've flown uh, so many times to where you feel the turbulence, whatever, and you just it's okay. But there was someone on the plane with me, um, and this person had never flown before, and I noticed that when the plane started shaking, I noticed I noticed the the man he grabbed the seat in front of it, or grabbed not the seat, but grabbed the armrails and held on, and he was noticeably scared. He was noticeably frightened, and he looked over at me, and I looked at him, and I could tell that he was afraid. And I told him, I said, "It's going to be all right." And he was scared because obviously he's never flown before, and then the plane is just shaking, like and so he was wondering what was going on. Uh, and I told him, I said, "Well, we're just hitting some turbulence. We've gone over some air pockets, right?" And he's like, "What does that mean?" And I kind of described it to him the best way I possibly could. Um, and after after we landed, he came and he told me. He came and shook my hand. He said, "Hey, thanks so much, thanks so much." And I didn't realize that me just talking to him about an air pocket and telling him that the plane was going to be okay, that the ride was going to be okay, that we were going to get there safely. I didn't realize how much that actually helped him out. But he said he was thankful for me to telling him that it was going to be fine. Uh, and just recently, I get kind of wild thorns in my mind sometimes that have me journeying after something. I'm kind of a pursuer of knowledge, not just to know things, but sometimes you just ask yourself, what is an air pocket? And that's what I actually asked, what's an air pocket? And so I looked it up, and let me go ahead and get this for you, and I'll actually probably put this link in the blog as well so you can read it. I thought it was pretty interesting uh, what an air pocket was, and here I was telling this guy what I believed it was, but um, I was wrong. And so, of course, when you learn something, it's good to share it because when you share it, then you spread the knowledge. So I looked up flying through an air pocket or whatever, and seeing what it really was. Uh, And what an air pocket is, the definition of an air pocket, or what an air pocket is an ordinary form of turbulence, right? And what it feels like, it's often been described as the same as a pothole. You're driving in your car and the pothole, and then you hit a pothole and it, uh, well, what happens when you hit the pothole is you can actually tear your tire up. You can flatten your car, and so, you flatten your tire, all kind of stuff happens. But in an airplane, there's no such thing as an air pocket. Really, technically it doesn't exist. So it's a mythical term. What it is basically a air that is a different temperature meeting up with air. So and what happens is, two, scientifically speaking, and I hope I'm not losing anybody here. This is like the nerd side of me coming out. And no offense to all the nerds, but um, there's two different temperature of air coming together actually causes the air to react because they can't coexist in the same place, right? And so when that happens, it feels like there is a hole that can cause anything to drop. But an air pocket is just as real as a water pocket. Now, have you ever been under the water where there's absolutely no water, like a pocket where water doesn't exist? There's no such thing. So it feels like we're traveling through dangerous terrains, and but it's really just air coming, and usually you lose maybe a couple of 100 feet at the very most. Uh, Commonly, you lose about 20 to 30 feet, and it just feels like you're riding over a rocky road. But what got me, and what really moved me into doing this video, is the fact that they don't exist. That the turbulence, the opposition that's there, isn't real. The turbulence is there. It isn't real. And so the plane is just fine. Now, passengers don't always know that, but the pilot knows that turbulence is normal. But if you make a big deal out of it, then it can be worse. And so that leads me into the metaphor of life. As entrepreneurs, as people who are endeavoring to make a life outside of the traditional 9 to 5, outside of the life where someone else determines your value, outside of the life where wages are stamped on your hand or on your head every hour, outside of that life, we often run into air pockets. Y'all like that, don't you? We often run into air pockets, and these air pockets for passengers. There are many people who will never board a plane because of the myth of air pockets. Well, I don't want to fly through an air pocket and fall out the sky. See, people won't try things because they're afraid of the myths. And there are a lot of myths about internet marketing. There's a lot of myths about network marketing and affiliate marketing. There's a lot of myths about being an entrepreneur and starting your own business. And that is, what if I get up in the air and I run into an air pocket and I fall? You ever notice how sometimes you've probably ran into this person, and I hope I'm talking to you right now who's had this conversation with someone, and you're talking about your dreams, you're talking about your goals, you're talking about some of the things that you want to do in life, and then someone who has heard about the myth of air pockets, they tell you not to fly. Right? This happened just the other day. We were at a family gathering, and one of my cousins was talking about she wants to be a fashion model. She wants to be not a fashion model, but a fashion designer. And then another one of my cousins told her not to do it because I've done it before, and let me tell you something, it is too difficult to get past all of the other talent that's out there, so don't try it. Now, first of all, and I love both cousins to death, but first of all, whenever someone tells you not to fly a plane, because they got on a plane before and ran into some turbulence, and then they tell you not to try it, that listening to them and taking their advice is literally putting yourself in a position to where you're less capable than what they are. you're less capable than what they are, right? Now, here is a person, you have to see this. This is a person that believed the myth that turbulence means it's not safe to fly. An air pocket means it's not safe to fly. And so this person decided not to go forward in their flight, and they returned home because a mythical pocket existed and that was called competition. Let me tell you something. You're not the only one who's out there trying to make a living in the space that you're trying to make a living at. You're not the only one who's trying to do something different. You're not the only one who's trying to make a life outside of the 9 to 5. And so what we're going to run into often is a normal thing called turbulence. We're often going to find that it feels like we're running over a pothole or running over a danger zone, but I want to let you know that it does not really exist. And the reason why it doesn't exist is because there's no such thing as an absence of air in the middle of the air. Right? So rest assured that you might be experiencing some turbulence in your journey right now. You might be experiencing a problem and it feels like you're not going to make it, but just keep on going, because when you are a pilot on the plane, I want you to know that the flight is okay, the turbulence is normal, the pocket doesn't exist, and therefore the destination is secure. Now, how do we make sure that we are the pilot and not the passenger? Because see, if you're the passenger, then the turbulence just might be a problem. If you're a passenger, you might not ever get on the plane. If you're a passenger, you might just stay right where you are and have your dreams just be wishes, or just be something that never comes to fruition. And then 20 years later, instead of them being dreams and goals, they are if onlys. They are if onlys and what ifs. And we don't want any of our dreams or goals to become if onlys and what ifs. So here's what I want to do. I want to give you this equation that equals success every single time, and then we'll let you go. I know it's been about 12 minutes right now, and I'm going to try to finish as fast as I can, but I have to give you this. And if you listen to this and you get value, then please leave a comment below. After you listen to this, you will be forever grateful that you did, right? This is why so many people will never board the plane of entrepreneurship. This is why so many people do not go after profits, even though we've heard so many times that profits are better than wages. And if you've experienced profits, then you know that they are, right? But this is why so many people never get on the plane, and this is why so many people are only passengers who never get on the plane. Because what we've been told and what we've been taught and what we've heard along the way is that if you want it bad enough, then it happens. If you want it bad enough and it is for you, then it will happen. Right? You ever heard that before? If you want it bad enough and it is for you, then eventually it will happen. And I just want to let you know that that's just not true. I mean, it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome to just want something bad enough and then boom, there it is. But it doesn't happen like that. See, and what has happened is, because of that message, then we have mixed up the goal and the plan as the same thing. We think that our goal is the plan, or our dream is the plan, and so we sit back and want it, and then it never happens. And see, I don't want anyone here blaming failure. And there's so many people that do this. They blame failure on God. They blame failure on inevitability. They blame failure on destiny. And then they go back to the wages. They go back to never flying again, because the turbulence, they turned it into something that doesn't exist. And they make it something that can cease a flight. Right? So here's the thing. Here's the deal. The goal and the plan are two totally different things. The dream and the goal, first of all, a goal is a dream with a deadline, right? But many of us have dreams and goals, but then we have plans that don't make it there. And then when the plans don't make it there, we say, well, then it wasn't meant to be, right? Let me tell you something. That's not true, because there's no or it didn't work out according as I had hoped for, or it didn't work out like I had planned. That's not true, because every plan is always working to perfection. But and the reason why is because every plan works out according to whatever it was we put into that plan. What we put into the plan is based on what we believe. Unfortunately, many of us have goals that are so high, but we don't believe that those goals are possible for us. And what I mean by that is we don't believe those goals are normal for us. See, because belief comes from a Greek word, which means, or two Greek words, which means to live by. Belief, live by. And so we live by our belief. We live by our faith, and faith is what's normal. It's what we trust. It's what we lean on. It's what we operate in. We operate in faith every single day. We get into our car and we start the car and we drive. And when light turns green, that's like Elmer Fudd. When light turns green, we go. And we go with the faith. We go believing that it is normal for us to drive on green and that nobody's going to hit us who's not paying attention to the red light. It's normal for us to believe that. Now here's where the problem comes in, because we have these goals, we have these dreams, but the reason why we don't take action on them is because we don't have the belief that those things are possible. So in other words, yes, this is what I want, but I don't think it's normal for me to have that. I don't think it's normal for me to achieve that. And so what happens is we start making our plans, but our plans are based on what our beliefs are. What we believe was normal for us. And so we have resources that are coming to our plan that don't lead to our goal. And this is exactly what happens. Here's our plan, here's our goal. Here's our belief, here's our goal. And the plan takes us smack dab away from our goal. And we say, it wasn't meant to be. And then here's what happens. The saddest part is, because the plan took us here, then we look at our goals, shake our heads, and we say it wasn't meant to be. And then we dream down to where our normality is. But here's what we have to do. What we must do is normalize the goal. Say that. Normalize the goal. See, too many of us, we normalize the plan. We got to normalize the goal. Don't dream down, believe up. Believe that this normality, that this goal is normal. It's normal for us to have that. There's nothing better about anybody who has what you want. There's nothing better about anyone who has accomplished what you hope to accomplish. There's nothing better about them. The only difference was it was normal for them. They believed it was normal for them to have that. And as a result, all of a sudden these resources start showing up that will take us to the plan. And it's such an awesome feeling. I'm sorry I'm keeping y'all so long, but here's the thing. And I'm done. Here's the thing. When the plan is normalized, then it's here. When the plan is normalized, the dream becomes impossible. But when the dream is normalized, then the plan becomes magical. And all of a sudden things just start finding their way to make sure that your dream comes true, to make sure that your goal happens, to make sure that you accomplish it, and then you have a story that is unparalleled. You have a story that will forever be told, and the story includes the magic of the plan, because we didn't let the air pockets that didn't really exist stop us from flying. We didn't let the air pockets stop us from getting on the plane. We didn't let the air pockets stop us from trying. We didn't let the air pockets stop us from attempting the shot. We decided to go in spite of all the people who said it's too dangerous to fly. See, because air pockets don't exist. Therefore, you can make it as long as you normalize your goals and exceptionalize your plans. I hope this has really, really been beneficial to you. I hope this has helped you out. I'm sorry for keeping you so long. And I would tell a story. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell the story real quick. And then I'm done. before we moved into it, before my wife and I moved into this house, we actually drove through the neighborhood and we pictured what people were doing in the house. We lived in an apartment not far from here, uh, and we drove around, and we would often just imagine what these people were thinking, what these people were. What were they like? The people who were living on the inside. And we thought maybe they're eating grapes and cheese, or they're drinking wine and eating crackers and talking about Kramer versus Kramer or political affairs. And we'd always talk about it. Now we wanted a house that size, right? But it wasn't it wasn't normal for us to have that. Um, and we just wondered what they were like. Wondered what kind of people they were. Wondered what they did to get it. And then a few when we tried to go get it, when we went to go look for a house and we started shopping for a house, uh, we started actually shopping according to what we believed. Here's the house we wanted. But we started shopping for houses that were way down here. And it was amazing because we wanted that house, but it just didn't seem normal. Well, eventually, after things didn't work out or whatever, we decided why not go for the let's just go for what we want. So this house we're living in now is actually bigger than the houses that we used to. One day I'll show it to you, but it's actually bigger than the houses that we used to drive by. And 3 years ago we built this house. It'd be 3 years ago in October actually that we built this house. And I remember waking up getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, looking through the archway as the moon shined into our house, and it was such a nostalgic moment because I was actually living in a place that I had dreamed about. I was living in a place. We built this from scratch, but I was living in a place that at one time it was just unbelievable. At one time it was unbelievable. At one time it was impossible, but I normalized it along the way. And everything just started to fall into place. The money that we needed to close, boom, fell into place. All the things along the way fell right into place because I normalized the end result, normalized the destination. See, turbulence is going to happen, but we got to know that the turbulence doesn't change the destination. And so it was amazing. And I heard a car drive by, and I wonder what they're thinking. I wonder what that car is thinking. I wonder what those people are, what they're thinking about us in here. Are they thinking that we're eating grapes? Are they thinking that we're drinking wine and eating crackers? I wonder what they're thinking, right? And it was a nostalgic moment. 3 years later, today it's 12:30 actually, and I'm a vampire, so I'm usually up late. But when I walk around my house now, and when I look through the archway now, there's not a nostalgic moment anymore. It's not a nostalgic feeling that I get. And it's not because I'm not appreciative. I'm very appreciative of this house that we live in. I'm very grateful to live in this house. But the feeling is not a feeling of nostalgia or even euphoria. But what it feels like to live in this house now after 3 years, it feels normal. And I wanted to drop that off, and I stayed as long as I did because I want to let every one of you know that you might be hitting some air pockets right now. You might be going through some turbulence right now that seems like your flight is coming down. And you're listening to people tell you to get out and stop trying to fly because it's too dangerous. But I want you to understand that in spite of all the opposition, in spite of all the turbulence, and in spite of all the people that were too afraid to try, it is possible. But you've got to normalize your belief. You've got to normalize your dream. You've got to normalize what it is that you're going for and exceptionalize the plan. Because when you normalize your dreams, then the plans become magical. But when you normalize the plan, then your dream will remain impossible. I hope this has helped you. If it has, leave a comment below. Share it with someone who you think is going to help. And I can't wait to see you again. Can't wait to talk to you again. Thank you. We'll see you next time.